That we know for sure, right?
We're not live yet, so. Just checking to make sure everyone can hear me. That's on Skype or Zoom.
1, 2, 3.
All right. And then we're not streaming yet, but Cindy, I don't know if your camera's.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
I'm getting seasick, Councilmember Madugan.
Did you just hear that too?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. I'd like to call to order the Avalon City Council meeting of July 6th. We will also include a meeting of the City Council acting as the Avalon Municipal Hospital Board of Trustees. Please stand. And we will pledge allegiance. Please begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I would like to take a few moments to please remember Lee Hamilton, Steve Quinn, and Mr. Juan Moreno, who have passed within the last 3 weeks. And I don't usually pray at the invocation, but today I want to pray for all the mean and evil-spirited people, the residents of our island family. Please help them to find their inner peace and joy so that they don't have to reach out in such a negative way. And help them to reach out for the truth before they go spreading rumors and saying extremely unkind words about others. In God's name, we pray for them. Okie dokie. Roll call, please.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Here.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Here.
Councilmember Ponce?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cassidy?
Here.
Mayor Marshall?
Here.
And for the record, we have our City Attorney Scott Campbell on Zoom also.
Thank you and welcome. Oh, do we have announcements or written communications?
I do have one written communication regarding item number 7. It was provided to the City Council.
Okay, thank you. Department head reports. Who would like to begin?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I was asked to go first this evening, so here we are. Before I get into probably what you're most interested in hearing about, just a couple things that we've got coming up in the next few weeks I want to share. We continue to have our beach bingo from 6 to 7 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings. So an hour from now, if we can be done, we can race out for that at 6 o'clock. So South Beach from 6 to 7. We have been selling out cards.
Wow.
We've got about close to 300 cards, and last week was the first time we sold those out. So get down there early for that. We have our next fishing derby. Kids Fishing Derby goes on Wednesday mornings from 7 to 9 a.m. At the end of the Green Pier, and that will happen through the course of the summer. We have 2 movie nights the month of July. Our next one being on the 14th. It's Sonic the Hedgehog. And we try to start those as early as we can, but we need it dark enough that we can see it on the projector. So 8:15, we should get that started again on South Beach. And then on the 28th, it's Little Giants, again on South Beach. And then lastly, our day camp program has been filling up this year. I think this is probably our 4th year running, and each year we seem to pick up a few more kids. Last year was a little smaller group due to the COVID restrictions we had for it, so intentionally we made it smaller. We were seeing kind of early 20s, mid-20s. This year we max it at 28, and we've got people on a waiting list, so make sure you sign up early for our day camp program. So with that, I'm going to lead into what, as I know it, transpired July 4th in regards to the fireworks show, and I'll be open for any questions. Before we do that, city manager jumped in right away. The assistant city manager jumped right away. I did receive the initial email about 5:30. I rolled out of bed about 5:45 to it. Couple hours to try and kind of get my arms around what was happening. Didn't necessarily need to get the city manager out of bed before I had more information. So waited a little bit, and it was about 8 o'clock that I ended up calling her. But they were very helpful in kind of jumping on board. Called staff in, some part-time staff in to help out. Had some council members reach out to me, which was really nice, offering whatever support and help that we could to have to kind of make the best of a bad situation. So I'm just going to read you the email that I received at 5:30, 5:30 in the morning. Gentlemen, I'm sick. We've had a late cancellation due to a crew walk-off and the inability to reload the barge in time for the show tonight. I'm beside myself. I cannot get the barge reloaded. This all transpired since 5 p.m. last night. I cannot get the barge up for the show. We tried all night. It's too late to reload. I can't even move heaven and earth to make this happen now. It's been frantic night, and I dropped everything. I can't make it happen. Some fire inspector made life a living hell for the pyro barge teams, and we all had to cancel even Malibu, our 2 biggest shows. So that was the initial email that I received. Certainly my first phone call was to the gentleman that, Gary Johnson received this email as well, so he was on it as well. My first phone call was out to him going, what is going on? Just got your email. This can't be happening. We've got a show in 12 hours. What can we do to make it happen? And he just reiterated that there wasn't enough time. It's 8 to 10. At this time, it's 8 to 10 hours to reload the show, get it on the water, another 4 hours to get it over here, set in position, even if he had an operator. He did say that Malibu was canceled. I ended up calling him right back going, well, Malibu's canceled. If you've got an operator, from Malibu, why can't you get them on the barge again? It was too late. I don't know all the circumstances about why that operator couldn't do it, but according to him, they did everything they could to try and get an operator to make this show happen. You made some more phone calls. One of my first phone calls was to Chief Alegria to see, as the fire inspector on that end was brought into the situation, what he could find out in regards to, why it was canceled. He said he'd get back to me, got back to me right away with some information about the Two Harbor show, and that was the first I heard that the Two Harbor show did happen. There was some contention about them even leaving port with the way it was loaded. Permit didn't match. The rockets was part of the issue. Resolved enough that they let them go, but understanding the operator was told that Avalon better be spot on. It's a much bigger show. It better be spot on. And that was what she left with for the Avalon show, the Two Harbor show. The Two Harbor show did go off. I didn't hear, I heard some good things about it. It was a good show. I don't know, it was a spectacular show. I didn't hear, I've heard some people that were out there that did take it in. And then my next phone call was to the operator. I left her a message just to try and get a feel for what took place. Didn't hear back from her till about 10:30 that same morning, so it wasn't a lot of help as we're now 7 o'clock in the morning. My next phone call was out to, there's a subcontract that put the permit in. The permit got called into play. And he said, I was physically there. They seemed, the fire inspector seemed to come down hard. This is his version of it. Seemed to come down extremely hard on us for some reason. Did let the Two Harbor show go. Did let us know that we needed to have our stuff in order to make Avalon go. And with that, he said they went off, did their show, started working on the permit side of the thing. And in following up with the operator, she got back to me, like I said, at 10:30, saying in a voicemail as I was getting ready to parade that conditions weren't safe and there wasn't enough time. That was her response. We walked off the job. Come to find out later that more than unsafe, I think they had some rockets that maybe misfired on the Two Harbor show, where she didn't feel comfortable at all about doing the show, knowing the permit wasn't in order, knowing that possibly some faulty some rockets. She was short-staffed. She didn't want to put her team and herself in a position. And then I've got a text from her that actually went to the contractor. It has come to my attention from the LA chief that inspected my boat that my paperwork was way off. He had also stated that if my Avalon paperwork is off, which it is, there will be legal repercussions. Therefore, I'm pulling my crew and myself from the show. Find another operator. About to dock. So the plan was that they would get back in about 2 o'clock, reload for Avalon, start the reloading process for Avalon, and then get out, later in the day to be here for Avalon. They didn't have a crew to work with. So one of my next phone calls before I reached out to Nice was I called another company, a competitor that we've used in the past, just as a last-ditch effort to see if there was an operator that might be available, a licensed operator might be available. They were nice enough to call me just before 8 and say, it's July 4th, my operations guy will be in a little bit, I'll let you know. But we certainly tried to go down a path to find somebody else to shoot the show. So at that point, reached out to the city manager. We don't have a show. The play was to just a brief statement saying, out of our local control, the show has been canceled. We got it on Facebook. I contacted Jim with the chamber, right away to help him, have him help get the information out. Denise was going to reach out to the Big Five, is that what we call them? The Big Five, just to let them know what was taking place, and they were going to have to cancel the show. I had a team in Jim and 2 of our part-time staff that were going out and doing the home decorating, judging, and the business decorating. So they took flyers out, posted them in some of the storefronts to let people know. We put it on our signage on Wrigley Stage, which got a lot of attention as people are coming through and just kind of seeing what the what the events for the day were. We made announcements during the parade to let people know. We made announcements during, we had bands on Wrigley Stage and out at the fuel dock, made announcements there as well. And so that is what I know. I was asked to try and get an official statement from the operator. Reached out to him yesterday via an email saying I need something by the end of the day. Yesterday, I've got a city council meeting that I'd like to be able to read to the council and the community. I got an email about 3:30 in the morning this morning, which is how this is going to affect his business and financial concerns. And so I responded this morning with a phone call saying, I'm really sorry to hear that. I've got a community that I need to address. Please get me that statement. That was about 9 this morning. Said he'd get to me something in about an hour. 10 o'clock rolls around, 11 o'clock rolls around, haven't heard anything. I did also ask in that that not only did I want that, but I wanted to make some reassurances that the Johnsons would be fully refunded for the cost of the barge as well as the fireworks show. He made some reassurances, at least verbally, that was going to happen. early afternoon happens, I haven't heard from them. Reached out to again, this time by text, saying, I'm on the run, I'll get back to you in an hour. Still hadn't heard from them at 4 o'clock. Still hadn't heard from another text, and haven't heard from them since then. So that is how it went down, our understanding of it. Looks like Chief is getting up. He spoke specifically to some people that were both the operator as well, and I think the inspector, so he might have something to add.
Thank you, Dan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to add that the battalion chief that went down there did everything in his power to help them get the Two Harbors show off. There were some issues. He worked with them. He made phone calls. He signed his name to allow them to do the show, and then was back down there again on the 4th in the morning to work with them to make sure that we got our show. So they were tough, they may say, but with the whole LA City illegal fireworks thing, they're cracking down on fireworks on barges and shows. So he was down there to take photos, and they're going to be doing classes, and there's going to be a whole redevelopment of fireworks on barges that he'll include us in. So we might have to start going over there to inspect, so we could actually inspect it before it comes over a couple days before, day before, to make sure everything's good. But he was doing his job to make sure everybody was safe, and he was willing to work with them on the 4th, but no one showed up.
Wow. Yeah.
And if I can just add, there's a permit process that's included in all this, and it's a 15-page document that we get generally a month in advance. And it's been fairly boilerplate because we're shooting at from the same place. This operator we've seen multiple times here in Avalon. So it's that information. It's the license of the operator. It's specific to where it's going to be shot. We had some larger shells go this year, so the perimeter got a little bigger. Not a big deal. They wanted 1,000 feet versus maybe 800 feet that they've seen in the past. Fireworks license, workers' comp, all this was in place, and in it has the number of shells, what sizes. So we'll sign off on this as part of our procedures, the City of Avalon, and we'll pass that along. And it's I've been involved in shows in another city in Calabasas, and the inspector doesn't come generally until a few hours before the show. It's usually Calabasas is early afternoon. This one, it's got to be a little bit earlier because we've got a barge right over. And if there's something woefully wrong, there's not much time to make some changes. Malibu, like I said, wasn't shot by this particular company, for some issues. So they're looking to have to reschedule their show. Come to find out, through some Facebook posts and some outreach, that there were two other shows, City of Riverside and the City of San Marcos, that didn't get shot. I actually did get to talk to the director, commiserate a little bit with the director of San Marcos, and their situation was been using the same company for 11 years, been great shows, a new operator this year, couldn't get it loaded in time. So he goes, at about 7:30 for a 9 o'clock show, I'll get, I can give you half of the show. And he goes, give me something. I've got 5,000 people in my park. And, 9 o'clock rolls around, 9:01, 9:05, and the display board doesn't work for him. Didn't have a backup. And so they have 5,000 people at 9 o'clock that they're making an announcement to that they don't have a show. So, weather sometimes does it. This is an operator that I can publicly say we're not going to use again. We've had some issues with them, as you know, where we've got a free show, which was a nice show, but I think this certainly has to be the final straw with them. Right. So with that, I'm open for any questions.
Go ahead, Cindy.
I just wanted to say to all the city staff, and especially Chief Alegria, who just really gave me a lot of his time and helping me understand process and permitting. I just wanted to say thank you so much, you guys. None of this was easy for any any city staff member or any council member or anyone. And I feel very sad for our public works crew that were verbally accosted by members of our community and non-members of our community. You guys, thank you for putting yourselves out there and for letting it roll off and doing the best you can. And, you know, it was circumstances beyond our control, and I'm very proud of the way that we handled it, that we didn't blast untruthful information. And I'm sorry that this happened to the community, but circumstances beyond our control. So thank you to everybody who did their best.
Yes. I think we all ditto that. You know, thank you, Cindy. Yeah.
If there's consensus, we would love to, if we can find a provider to do it on Labor Day weekend. So I could bring that back as a formal request to the council to approve.
Sure. And I know Dan and I spoke with Mr. Johnson and Kelly that night, and their game, you know, they're still willing to donate. So that's wonderful. I was just made me sick that he was getting accosted on his own phone by people of the community saying very ugly things, and it's nauseating. And anyway, so Gary and Kelly, thank you for staying strong. Avalon strong, right?
Avalon strong. One of the nice things was, you know, there was some sentiment out there on a positive note that, you know, at least we've got the parade this year. At least we're out and about. We're, you know, getting together as a community. It was a, you know, rough year. You know, it was unfortunate we didn't have the fireworks show, but it was great to see, you know, community out. We had I thought a good parade. You know, it wasn't USC marching band. We knew that coming in. We had 47, you know, floats come through that. I think, and I was, you know, sweeping streets myself, but there wasn't as much, you know, stuff on the ground, so we got a little bit of help there. So a nice event there. You know, we did have some music, and you know, hopefully next year we can get it all in.
Yeah.
Dan, I have a question.
Yep.
It was great that we extended the route of the parade. But is there a reason there was no traffic control? Because when the parade started and the fire trucks came around the corner, there was traffic coming down Clarissa. There were tour vehicles, there were golf carts, there were locals right there at 3rd and Clarissa, everybody trying to make that turn either way. There was nobody directing traffic at 3rd and Clarissa or even at Beacon and Clarissa.
Yeah. So we did have a meeting, you know, a couple days prior to that, and that was supposed to be a control point. So I can follow up to see what happened.
There was no control. And you had people all of a sudden shocked that they're running into a fire truck coming down the street.
Yeah, and that certainly should have happened. So if it's something that we decide to do in the future, which I think was nice to extend it.
And it was really nice. The people that were able to sit there and watch it really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so that's something that we need to tighten up.
However, isn't that the way, it always turns up Clarissa. Everybody always goes up Clarissa.
They usually are ending at Clarissa, they get to 3rd and they're coming.
Yeah.
And they don't let
Some of
anybody.
them turn at 3rd.
They don't let anybody come past 3rd. But this is, traffic was coming from Tremont and Beacon down Clarissa to Front Street.
Not the parade.
Not the parade, no.
Yeah, so the point, we want to have had that traffic mix with the, you know, the parade traffic. So if that was something that wasn't done, that was something we'd have to make sure gets done in the future.
Okay.
And there might want to be a kind of a debrief, because, I mean, this isn't going to be popular, but maybe golf carts aren't rented for a couple of hours during that time or something to make it easy. But I mean, it went off well.
Yeah, it went off well, but it was just, I kept waiting, well, why are the golf carts still coming?
Yeah, because he was.
Because I was standing right there. So why are the golf carts still coming?
Right,
So,
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
I just wanted to throw out an extra level of thanks to both Avalon Fire, LA County Fire, and LA County Sheriff. Just a lot of feedback from people of seeing everyone out in the community, letting people know about the show once it happened from all of those entities, and seeing you guys later in the evening when I was able to get downtown it was nice to see everyone out and about. So thank you guys very much for that.
Excellent.
Great.
I thought it was a great day.
Yes, perfect day.
It was a great day.
So if we can go into, do you have any comments over there, Michael, about the parade?
I do not.
Okay. I just want to ask a little question about the street vendors. Are we going to be seeing anybody new? Right now, I'm only seeing, well, hardly at all the pretzel guy, and then we're seeing the hot dog vending a little more. What about the merchandise, the retail side of?
So the merchandise is, there's one that is fully up to speed, Jason Green. I think he's been out just once. And it's, it's been staffing. Everybody's just kind of in this crazy, we running at, 100 miles a minute now, and staffing just isn't there. So he's trying to keep his shop moving, and then, trying to staff the cart as well. We've got 2 carts, both merchandise, that are pretty close. One actually called me, left me a message yesterday. We weren't in the office. He's just finishing up his last bit of permitting. It's really cool. He's making like cup saucers and just some board games that are engraved, personally engraved with the island logo and stuff on it. And so he'll be out here in the next couple of weeks as well.
Well, wonderful. So we're eligible for 3 and 3,
3
right?
and 3, yeah. So I think
Okay.
you'll see 4 of the 6 out here, fairly soon.
All right.
Yep.
Because if people take too long, can we?
That is something that we're pushing now.
Yeah.
It was like, there's nobody in town. Now there are people in town, and they're
Right.
kind of trying to catch up with it. And especially the ones who are working with the county. The county has been tough to get a hold of, and just that cycle. So,
exactly.
yeah, I've been trying to move that along.
Great,
Yes.
and I don't see a lot of street musicians, but I'm assuming that those that are on the street have a permit, and I don't know if, because some people just might want to set up shop, and we don't have code on all the time. Is that something that the sheriffs can help with? Because I know Christian, is that his name, that plays, his permit is right there.
Yep.
And I think you tell them to have the permit
Yes.
visible.
So there are just 2 people that have been permitted at this point, and they're supposed to have their permit with them. So anybody other than that, I'll let the sheriffs know who specifically they are, and then, if we're open during hours, you can reach out to us, and we'll go down and chase them off. We've certainly done that in the past, showed them the process, or contact code or contact sheriff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a party pooper, but
Yeah.
for those that are doing it right, it's not fair for the
Yep.
others to take advantage, so. That's all I have. And council, any other questions for Dan or comments? Okay. Who's next?
Good evening, Bob Greenlaw, Director of Public Works. I'm going to take my time in the department head report to give you an update on the Five Corners pedestrian project that you requested that we get an update. Okay, have a few slides for you. Okay, so we'll go right into project status. Okay, so we have held several community outreach events, including we marked out the street for a demonstration project to do a proof of concept and showed the community that it actually would work, and had a lot of good feedback besides our community meeting too. We've also got our environmental document is complete, so it was a mitigated neg deck that was approved by the Planning Commission, and a notice of decision was filed for that. And the project permitting is complete. The plans and specs for the roadway improvements are complete. These improvements are designed so they could be phased as long as we meet the requirements of the grant. So what it does, we put the plan sheets together so that there could be certain elements that could be reduced down if we were getting too expensive for this first phase as we're getting built. And then the plans and specification for the utility relocations are in process right now. So we started off with the electrical undergrounding portion. There's going to be the electrical wires are going to be undergrounded from the intersection here just to past Descanso, and then they'll stay above ground at that point. That's what we could afford. That gets all the electrical out of the intersection. So we had initially completed that undergrounding portion of the plans about a year ago, but then actually the water and gas components of SCE came in, and they realized what facilities they had and what age they were within our intersection, and they wanted a more robust relocation and upgrade plan. So that's what we've been working on for this last piece here, is trying to get that so that we can relocate those out of the intersection, especially where we're going to put some decorative improvements, but also to upgrade those. And, you know, like that big manhole vault that's there, that actually is a valve, and that's going to be moved out of the intersection. So we're able to maintain those facilities without breaking into the intersection. So kind of our next step on that is putting all of those different pieces of the plan set together in different pages and compiling them. And then what you'll see is, then we get our utility construction contract, and it's ready to bid by the end of August. That's what our schedule is right now. So the next step is really to compile that and putting it out and get it ready to bid. And then the coordination of the frontage improvement modifications, we've been working on that. We've worked with several property owners so far, but that's still in progress. And that will soften the impact to those private properties that are along Tremont, that they're actually, some of their improvements are built into the right-of-way, and then so it's how we soften that edge of their improvements with the city's improvements. And then the roadway improvements will be bid as a separate construction contract. And what we intended when we first rolled this out was to build the utility undergrounding within one season, then stop, and then start again the next season. What we're going to do is, because we've lost this time in COVID, and for getting the other utilities into a combined package, is we're going to bid and award and construct the utilities, and then immediately while we get that just started, we're going to bid, award, and get ready for the road construction to follow it right up. And you'll see that on the schedule page here.
And the utility relocation, that's done in conjunction with Edison?
Yes. So the city will contract out to get like the conduits, put everything in the ground, and then there's pieces of equipment that Edison comes, like the transformers. So you see some of the green boxes, those are transformers, to what we call wrecking or demoing the poles, taking the poles out once they're done. And they'll have some equipment that's underground. And this is not just Edison, so it's Edison, and it's also AT&T. It's broadband. Broadband's going to put in brand new facilities that are heading up all the way up Avalon Canyon here, but they're going to get to the end of the city's property. It's all fiber. They're planning to upgrade everything to fiber, and from what they're telling me, they want to get fiber to the house. So it's really, really a substantial upgrade for all of these facilities that are there. Let's see, what's there? So then I just want to make a comment that we had planned, again, the additional funding will be necessary to complete the entirety of the roadway improvements to the full extent that we have in the plan set. And remember, I've said that we're able to adapt that per the bid. Okay, we have made application twice to the active transportation plan. That's competitive, very competitive, and we were unsuccessful getting additional funds. But realize what's happening right now with the federal and state government, you know, that there's a lot of infrastructure funding right on the horizon. Our project's already environmentally, got the environmental documents, we've got plans, we're already rolling in certain, so really that brings us up into that competitive level. And there's lots of different sources right now that we see that there's really some potential there. If you can combine it with some housing, you can combine it with, you know, active transportation from state or from the feds. All of those things could bring us the additional funding to get to the finish line on that, the second piece of that. Okay, so then schedule-wise, we have 4 tasks identified here, and then you see in that right column is the completion. So it's not the start, that's the completion. I tried to make it as simple as I could here. So advertise, bid, award, and issue notice to proceed for the utilities contract by September of this year. Okay, because like I said, we're out to bid in August. Then the utility relocation contract construction is be finished by January 2022. For the most part, to be out of the way for the roadway construction. You know, the utilities can still be working on getting their equipment in and getting switched over, but at least to be out of the way of the other contractor. And then advertise, bid, award, and issue notice to proceed for the roadway November of this year. So after we get that started, we know solid what a number is, what the utilities are cost us, then we can go in and we'll know what we have left to be able to scope and prioritize those improvements for the road construction. And then the roadway construction, but July of 2022, you know, and there may be some still little elements on the side, but I'm saying get out of the roadway before we're getting, you know, another big visitor season. So, you know, they've got to be able to prioritize those things in the project plans and specifications that when they've got to be done and out of the roadway. So then we go just to funding, just a brief overview. The funding type we had, we have the LA Metro grant of 1.736 million, and then we had local funds of almost 500,000, bring us to 2.2 plus. For that was what our total was without any additional funds. And the remaining balance we have right now to go into this construction is approximately 1.8 plus. Okay, so you can see, take a little bit for the undergrounding. SCEs will be contributing their piece on the undergrounding too. And then we'll go, you know, into the balance of that with whatever we can get built. And then if we are not successful by the time it comes to get additional funds, there'd be another set of project plans ready to go out there and search for that funding. Okay? Any questions?
So the underground goes from where to where?
It goes from the intersection, the 5 Points intersection,
in the
to past Descanso, just right past Descanso.
And it starts in the middle of the intersection, or is it on the?
So there's one service pole that goes out to street lights out here on Avalon Canyon Road. That's going to come down, and then it's already underground through the intersection.
Right.
So there's a pole right there at this quadrant here at City Hall, and then it goes, you know, to Descanso, you know, past Descanso.
Okay, so my concern has always been, how far down is that hump? Are these humps going to be gone out?
Yes, yes.
So we're going down, we're digging way down.
And those humps are from the storm box culvert, so a concrete box that conveys the storm drainage. We're going to put that in 2 new 36-inch pipes, and they're going to be rerouted to Descanso, and then that's when the ditch picks back up, and the underground and the above-ground utilities pick back up.
So the rise will not be happening
That's
coming
correct.
up Avalon Canyon
That's
Road
correct.
or going down to Tremont.
Yeah, it's supposed to be maximum 4% cross slope. A typical roadway that looks really flat is about 2% cross slope. Okay, so it'll still be very flat compared to what, I mean, right now you've got a grade there, it's like 10%.
Okay.
So, you know, it'll be where you see, you know, it would be no worse than, I guess, the worst spot in Metropole or something, where you get just a little bit of a tweak sideways,
okay.
You know.
Okay.
But you'll still be going circular around it.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Any other questions?
Council? Nope. Anything on the magic screen there, Michael?
I have no comments.
Okay.
Okay, and as we, you know, award those contracts and put everything out to bid, I'll be reporting more regularly on this, so
Yeah,
I'll keep you
great.
up to speed. Thank you.
No, thank you. I guess my question is, what do we do if the bids go way over what we're asking? That's always scary, but go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. Lauren Carr-Starfin, Harbor Master. For the 4th of July weekend, we saw typically comfortable weather with temps in the 60s and 70s. Ocean temps were still around 67. Conditions for the most part remained calm except for the southerly influenced surge, which influenced the shallower waters, created a little surge amongst the moorings. With the weekend moorings completely sold out, we saw many vessels using the various anchorages around Avalon. Harbor Patrol responded to assistance calls throughout the weekend, helping with the anchorage problems, towing vessels with mechanical breakdowns, and dealing with the wrap-ups. Here are the numbers as they fall. The arriving vessels Friday through Sunday. Patrol moored about 312 boats for a total of 1,477 nights. Patrol responded to incidents including minor medicals, enforcements and advisories. Patrol issued 2 citations for damage to public property and 1 citation for discharge of an illegal firework. Overall, most enjoyed a very nice weekend in Avalon. We also rolled out our pay-by-phone option. As we had planned, voters now have that alternate way to pay their mooring fees using a dedicated automated line.
Nice. Questions or comments for Harbor Master?
Thank you.
We might want to post something next year for the 4th of July that no water balloons to be thrown off boats. I noticed quite a bit of that during the dinghy parade.
Yes, and you know, we work hard on that, especially we get a lot of support from the boaters because of the pollution side of it.
Yeah.
However, then there's those that show up and it happens. So yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That was just a shame to see those go off, but thank you. That was a busy one for y'all. I don't think there was anybody that slept well over the last few days. There was a lot going on.
Michael Alegria, Fire Chief. We were staffed up for the weekend. We ran calls. We were fairly busy, but it wasn't a crazy weekend. We anticipated everybody was well behaved. We did spend 4th of July night out patrolling till almost 2 in the morning, trying to get those ones that were shooting off the fireworks, but we're going to come up with a better plan for next year, and we'll get them. But if anyone sees anything or has any videos, please pass them along to us, and we'll see what we could do if we have the video.
Great.
Other than that, any questions?
No, thank you.
No, but I just want to say
Cindy
that
has a comment.
I appreciate that. I do appreciate that you guys did the extra patrolling. It's so unfortunate that it even happens. I mean, I get the little sparklers and the ones that, you can technically get on the mainland, but there was some pretty hardy fireworks and something could have really gone wrong. Yeah. So it's just unfortunate. But thanks for all you guys did.
Thank you.
Yes. Did Badali retire already?
Sergeant Klein here for Captain Badali. It was my first 4th of July here, and I was actually impressed. There were 0 arrests this weekend. We had 1 drunken public arrest late Thursday night into Friday morning, but the entire weekend we usually average 3 to 5 arrests. Not 1 arrest, which was very pleasant for all of us. Everybody was well behaved. Everybody had a great time. We had a big presence on Front Street with our little T3s and the deputies doing foot patrol. A little down on staffing. Usually we have about 6 reserves. This year we had 2, but we utilized them 12 hours a day, and they were out there working. We worked with Mike and the guys on the fireworks suppression, and for an island, it must seem like a lot, but to me it doesn't seem like much over town. That's a regular day in the city.
Yes.
But Mike was on it and his guys, and they were tracking some guys we thought we were going to apprehend. It didn't turn out, but like Mike said, we'll come up with a better plan next year, and I thought it went really well.
Yeah. Great.
Any questions?
Questions? No, thank you.
Thank you. Matt coming out.
Yeah.
Matt Baker, Finance Department. I don't have anything unless there are any questions from council.
No,
Perfect.
You did all your stuff in the last few months, so we're good. And Michael Palmer, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just had a quick announcement. We have some surveys here for at City Hall and up at the Planning Department. Over the past year, the city has been engaged in helping to develop a long-range plan for how sea level rise and climate change will impact our coastal resources and our infrastructure. We did 1 round of surveys prior to coming up with some strategies to kind of gain what people's priorities were. We held a community meeting a couple weeks ago, and we still have surveys that are out. These surveys, they're really neat. They talk a little bit about some of the strategies that our consultant Moffitt and Nickel has developed. They look at how we're going to address climate change and sea level rise in and around our community. Some of our most vulnerable resources by Pebbly Beach Road, along where Edison and our freight is in the Bay Area, and then over by Descanso. The surveys have some really great cross-section solutions and some really good examples of what these strategies will look like if implemented. It's really important that we get some feedback. The surveys are open. It says that'll close on the 9th, but we're going to leave them open throughout the month of July. So if anybody is interested in taking the survey, we'd greatly appreciate that. So thanks.
Great, thank you, Michael. City manager report?
I just have one thing, Annie. I just wanted to thank the entire staff of the city, particularly the departments of community services and public works, harbor department, the fire department, and of course the sheriffs for their hard work and dedication during that very busy weekend. And it was a very nice weekend. But thank you for the entire staff.
And some of you might not have even noticed that Denise was gone because she was working diligently from Oregon in 110 degrees weather. We didn't even talk about the weather. And they have a beautiful baby boy. So
not me and Rob.
Oh, okay, she had to sneak away to Bend to have the baby.
Grandson.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification. Congratulations. Okay.
Denise, did you guys think you were going to have anything but a boy?
City attorney?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, right. Council member reports. Who would like to begin?
I got nothing.
Just to report that we met with the LA and Orange County Broadband Consortia, as we'd mentioned, with a couple of stakeholders. And there were some good discussions and a couple of items they were asking of us. They're going after not only the public utilities funding, but additional funding from other public and private sources. And so we're asking us for kind of a rundown of what we're hoping to complete. So we'll be working on that this week and next.
Great. Thank you for doing that. Yesenia?
I got nothing but a big old thank you to everyone. It looked like so much fun, and I know my family enjoyed themselves as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Obviously, thank you to everybody. What a great weekend it was. And on June 30th, last Wednesday, I was officially installed as the president of the Gateway Cities Council of Government. So I'm very proud to serve us.
Great.
And that's all I have.
Congratulations.
Now, how could
Thank
she
you.
talk that whole time and her mouth didn't move? Are you a ventriloquist or what? How
Lisa
is
and
that?
I and Jim and a few others
I
are
know, but
trying
the
to
voice
work on
doesn't freeze.
trying to work on the broadband. So hopefully soon that won't happen.
Okay, that is so bizarre. I'll give her a nice smile. I just wanted to share the resolution that we did the last council meeting regarding the hero pay. I gave that to one of the members or one of the Vaughn's employees to post in their break room with the staff report as well, so they would really see what was done and justification for what was done. So that's all I have to report. Okay. Oral communication. This is an opportunity for people in the audience to speak on items not on the agenda. You will be limited to 2 minutes and no action will be taken. So I see some people there, one that's from the hospital, but I don't know. Do you all have something? I'm sorry, and my eyesight's bad, so I don't even know who's here.
Hi, Annie. Ms. Marshall and the council members, I'm Diana Shefty, and I live at 208 and 210 Catalina Avenue. And I've taken my whole life to get to Avalon. Finally, I'm here. And I'm come to talk about the trash truck that's parked in front of my house now. I'm very distressed, and I was hoping that the council would discuss this and maybe find a new location. I'm having trouble sleeping. It wakes me up in the morning, and it goes till 8:30 at night, and it's very loud, and it's crushing trash all day. And I can't open my windows to have fresh air come through or sit on the balcony to have a cup of coffee.
And your address is 208 and 210?
210, right.
Whitley?
On Catalina Avenue.
Oh, Catalina Avenue, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, I just think
I brought some friends just to back me up because I get weak in the knee when I talk in front of anybody. But Kimberly had some really good ideas, and so I thought I'd have her speak for me.
Okay. Limited to 2 minutes, so go ahead.
2 minutes. Okay. All right, my name is Kimberly Stanley. I'm a friend of Diana's. I live at 246 Whitley, and I've just been hearing the distress that's coming from Diana. Apparently, if I understand correctly, the curb was recently painted that this was the new location for permanent settlement for the trash truck to be parked in front of her house. And then throughout the day, I don't know how you mentioned 4 or 5 times a day, it's running and loading and running and loading as a permanent parking spot for the giant trash truck in front of her very nice 2-story house with a balcony overlooking a trash truck. This was not announced to her, it was not discussed. The curb was painted as a new truck, a trash truck parking spot, without discussion of the residents right behind it. And no interviewing or discussing with neighbors directly in front of it. It's directly impacting her quality of life, as well as mental health, as well as the property value. So I think that she's trying to motion that it be an area of discussion, and also that would be rectified or discussed with the residents.
Okay. Thank you, Kimberly. And thank you. So is that something that staff wants to kind of look at again? Or what do you think?
Annie, that was a decision made. We had moved, it's Mr. Vega, it's our contract employee. We had it between the 2 driveways of the old Vaughn's Express as well as the Island Company's driveway. It was becoming a safety issue of people coming in and out of the driveway, particularly on the beach side. And so this is a trial basis, nothing's in permanent. As Mr. Greenlaw always assures me, it's just paint on the curbs. And we have to find a location for Mr. Vega somewhere down in that downtown area so he's able to load that trash. And we all know because of the visitors in our town that there is a lot of trash that Mr. Vega is dealing with, and we can't have him too far away because he has to have access to his truck. We will take their comments seriously and see if we can find another location, but it was just a trial basis. We have to find some spot for Mr. Vega.
Okay, so let's all put on our thinking caps. Okay. Thank you. And thank you. Are there any other comments or?
I have no comments.
Okay, if there's no one else, we will go to the consent calendar.
We have 5 items this evening on the consent calendar. The first one is minutes from the June 15, 2021 regular city council meeting. The second one is warrants for a total expenditure of $2,101,133.42, and that's for the period of May 24th through June 25th of 2021. The third one is to adopt a resolution approving the annual GAN appropriations limit calculation for fiscal year 21-22. Fourth one is to adopt a resolution formally adopting the fiscal year 21-22 budget. And the fifth item is on the consent calendar is the City Council acting as the Avalon Municipal Hospital Board of Trustees, and there are 2 reports, the CEO's June 2021 report and the CFO's April 2021 report, and we're asking the council just to receive and file the reports.
Does anybody have any questions about any of the items? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar, items 1 through 5.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Cassidy?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye. Okay, item number 6.
Number 6 is in general business, and this is consideration to enter into a 3-year contract with the Los Angeles County Development Authority for CDBG program funds. And I do have, just been blank, Audra. Audra here for questions, and she can walk us through it. Apologize, Audra.
No worries. I'm getting really good at doing everything digitally. I'm pretending I'm Jordan Monroe. So be patient with me like you were with Jordan as I pull up the staff report instead of printing on paper. I've become very thrifty with my printing, which is good for the environment, saves money, killing time. But I can talk a little bit about the CDBG program. So currently we are in the CDBG program with the Los Angeles County Development Authority, and they base our annual allocation on the amount of people. It's a formulaic program, so how many people live in the city, then there's a formula, and then that formula based on the 2020 census, which I attached an overview of it for you.
Mhm.
Doesn't look great.
That doesn't look great. Yeah.
But I want to thank everyone, all the council who worked very hard to try and get participation in the census data. So we're at the point now where we need to decide if we want to continue in another 3-year agreement with LOCTA, or if we want to not continue and pursue participating in the state's Housing and Urban Development CDBG program. The differences between the two are outlined in the staff report. Primarily, the CDBG program guarantees the funding that we receive annually based on population. The state program is a competitive program and is typically used for large housing development projects or infrastructure projects to support large housing development projects. There may be some workforce housing. Things are really in flux right now, I'm sure, as you all know, with what's going on at the federal level as well as the state level, and what the funding is really going to look like when it all kind of fleshes out. We don't know what it's going to look like. I think some of the things that we should consider is that if we went out of the current program that we're in, and we didn't do it for another 3 years, Bob has our ADA projects phased out, and he's planning on using the CDBG funds that we get from LOCTA right now. So he has plans for upcoming funding. And then we did get extra money due to COVID for Meals on Wheels and the food pantry. And they finally got those contracts executed. They were overwhelmed. LOCTA was also in charge of handling all of the rental assistance and mortgage assistance for the entire county of Los Angeles, and they were already understaffed before COVID even hit. So little projects like us have been not as important, and I've been like the fly that just keeps buzzing around and bugging them, and finally got that done, so we'll be getting our reimbursement for those 2 projects. So I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. The state programs are highly competitive. If we don't have plans ready to rock and roll, shovel ready, when this money flows from the feds to the state, et cetera, for either, and we don't know what the workforce housing will look like. I'm just kind of assuming that there is going to be some kind of workforce housing because of the homeless problem that we are experiencing throughout the state of California, as well as low-income housing. We do have quite a few low-income housing developments on the island. We've always talked about needing median household, middle-income housing, which really has never been funded before. It's the powers that be did never seem to think that that was a need. Now, COVID may change that completely and upend all of it. So it's really up to you guys what you want to do. I do want to say that the reporting requirements for the CDBG program that we're in through LOCTA is just the $50,000. It's just as much as work as if it was $500,000 or $1 million. All the requirements are the same. Bob can attest to all of the paperwork he has to turn in just for the ADA, the little ramp and curb projects that he's done. Not little, they're great, but they're small projects in comparison. So I've given you the copy of the agreement. an overview of the 2020 census data, and I'm just going to leave it up to you guys if you have any questions. I think I've covered it all.
Anybody want to comment or make a motion or on which direction you want to go? Well, I'll just make a motion that we enter into another 3-year agreement with LACTA for CDBG formula funds.
Just because they're...
I'll second.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
I mean, we don't have land, we don't have water, I mean, so a
Right.
lot of that is...
And there's no guarantee if we don't. So
Right. And our little numbers still kill us.
But, you know, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And
Well, I think it might be a good idea at some point to maybe have a discussion about the census and how we want to approach the numbers.
Yeah.
Sure, Mike's on it, but you
Yeah.
know, I mean, maybe at a council level, because this is going to haunt us now for 10 more years, and
Yeah.
we just had 10 years of haunting and had to pay for our own income survey. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is discouraging. Okay, there's a motion, second, further discussion? Call for the vote?
Wait, any comments?
Any comments there? I'm sorry, Mike.
I have no comments.
I have no comment. Okay. I wonder what it's going to look like when he's got one.
I don't know. I'm like, what's he
I'll raise my eyebrows.
Oh, I'll get all excited. Okay. Please call for the vote.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Cassidy?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Audra. Nice to see you at council.
Okay, item 7 in general business is Island Bikes operation and location. Just as a recap, I did receive one written communication, and council did receive that. You were also provided right before the meeting the diagram that was included in his original. Then we were going back and forth. I just want to clarify because there was an address that wasn't correct on it. So when we received the corrected proposal, I omitted and accidentally the diagram, as well as the email correspondence from the Hermosa Hotel saying that he would be able to rent from there. So this applicant came before the City Council on April 6th of 2021. At that time, the City Council did authorize a transfer of 30 electric bike permits from Tour Catalina to Island Bikes, and this transfer and approval was contingent on the new operator providing an operations plan and a location to come back to the City Council for your review and approval. This location was proposed to the City Council as a brick and mortar operation when Catalina Electric Bikes came before the City Council at that same meeting on April 6th. There was a concern about the location on Metropole there and all the traffic. There is no current lease with this property. However, as I said, there was a very quick little email from Hermosa Hotel granting that. And so here you are. And there is also, I provided to the council an email from Chief Krug because he was asked his opinion of that. The location was not his concern. It was more all the charging of the batteries, and he would like to be able to make sure that that older building was able to accommodate that load.
And that's really nice that the chief is going to come and Chief Krug is going to come and take a look at that.
Did it say Chief Krug? Did I say that? Oh, well, Chief Allegria. I'm having a hard time with names tonight.
You're doing great.
Sorry, Chief.
Thanks, Denise. Okay, council?
my question is, what's changed from us denying a previous request for this location?
Well, it didn't pass because y'all didn't want him, but I am the same. I still don't believe.
It wasn't him, it was location.
Location.
I'm just going to say for me, my concern was we didn't have a proper proposal previously, and I sat down with the two new applicants, one being Mr. Affolter, who was a prior applicant on his own, and then with Mr. Leyva, who was with Mr. D'Albero, and now the two, Mr. Affolter and Leyva together, I felt much more confident and comfortable. And also we had the opportunity to see a full proposal for it. So I have far less issue with the Metropole location than I did the upper Metropole location. So I was happy to hear this item for the applicants.
Okay. I have a problem with 30 electric bikes coming up that hill. I mean, they're going to have to train them up. And I appreciate the comment made by the chief, Chief Alegria, that you didn't seem to see a safety issue as much, because you're saying that the traffic has slowed down since Vaughn's moved. I think that, look at this weekend. I mean, all the electric bikes that are currently there, our own kids now and adults that have electric bikes, all the golf carts on the road, Hamilton Cove business, people parked on both sides of the street. I don't think it's a great location. I wish he could come up with something else, maybe find some space with the Island Company in the old golf cart parking lot or back in the plaza where the ways used to be. That's just me.
So they're going to be bringing their bikes across the sidewalk and into the street, or are they?
Yes. Training them on the street. So if that street is full of vehicles, you're sticking them in the roadway.
Yeah.
Unless I missed something.
One comment that I just wanted to make, Mayor, just to address your concern of the 30 bike permits. The 30 bike permits are already there.
I know.
So I know we talked at the last meeting, or the last time we had these before us, and I don't know that it's fair to take something away from somebody who already has it. So I kind of not sure how that.
I'm
really
not taking them
comes
away. I'm just saying I don't like the location. I mean, that last time we discussed it, I wanted to reduce those number of permits, and we did have the ability to do that, but y'all decided no. So I don't like the location. So I'll make a motion just to get the ball rolling, and if anybody wants to chime in, not to allow the operation on Metropole, and hope he can find something that's flatter and not as congested.
And I'll second.
Motion is second. Further comments? Anything on your machine?
The last comment that I'll make, and there is a motion on the table, but the concern that I had, and I spoke very strongly about Upper Metropole in general. I was very concerned about launching downhill on what I feel is a blind corner of people coming up Beacon, turning to the right, coming down that hill. The location on Lower Metropole is essentially launching flat to uphill in a space that's much more widely seen. And I didn't feel that location, it does not have more traffic than Pebbly Beach. And I don't venture to say that it has less, but I know it doesn't have more congestion or traffic than Pebbly Beach Road. So that's why I'm in favor of allowing them to do it at that location. And I would also be in favor of, if the council sought to do it on a trial basis for, the summer or something, or a 6-month period or a year period, same as we did with the prior owner of of the permits to bring it back in a year and see how it goes.
Well, I hear what you're saying, Cindy. First of all, I'm not going to go out personally and buy 30 e-bikes for a 6-month or a year probation and find out it doesn't work, because those things aren't cheap. And then I guess with anything else that we say, we kind of want to review it after 6 months or a year. What are the criteria in which we're using? How many calls they have? How many near misses if that somebody won't report? I mean, I just don't know how we judge that. Like with everything we do, how do we really figure out what we're evaluating it against? But our chief has just walked up. Let's see what he wants to say.
I just want to add, like, for me, Metropole, 2 sides of the street, it's super busy where they proposed the first time. This proposal is pretty empty all day long. It seems to me there's always parking from the Island Inn up to the museum, usually. Just the bus comes in. But then, like, I'm trying to clean up the parking on Pebbly Beach Road, so I hope this is the right time. But to talk about the other bike company, we're trying to clean up the whole loading area and fire lane on Pebbly Beach. One of the companies puts their people in the red right there, and that's super busy. Metropole's a lot calmer, but I want to work on not moving them on Pebbly Beach Road, but having them either do it all on the curb and they get on and go, but they sometimes line up 5, 6, 7 bikes right there, and that sticks out more than a cart.
No,
so
I can tell you, no matter what guarantee that they say on Metropole, that's what's going to happen. And I have a question for my fellow council people. Have any of you ridden an electric bike? Have any of you gone through the process of actually learning how to ride the bike?
I don't want to.
It is not the easiest thing to go through. And for people to get it, it does take a little bit. And one wrong turn of that throttle, and you're gone. And that bike can just shoot out. So I just don't think that that's a good location for it.
One other thing I'd like to say, in one of the other conversations about the bikes is they're supposed to use all the traffic signals and do all that and stop. And we know nobody's getting busted for disobeying those rules at this point. However, I stopped some people and I said, you need to do a hand signal. And they said, I can't do a hand signal because they told me to never take my hands off the steering wheels because they're so heavy, because the bikes are heavy. And I said, well, when you stop, then you put your hand signal, then you put your hands back on the thing. And I don't know how well that's instructed because I don't see any of them doing hand signals. It doesn't matter who they're coming from. But anyway, so now it's another 30 bikes with another 30 people not doing that.
Annie, I'll second your comment regarding concern about stopping and following the rules and whatnot and the traffic rules, but 90% of who I have seen violate that is locals.
No, I'm seeing all of it, but because they come up and down Descanso a lot in those streets, so I see them all. But okay, so anyway, there's a motion and a second, and you all decide what we're going to do. Any comments, Michael?
I have no comments.
Okay.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle?
I means no, right?
Yes.
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Cassidy?
No.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye.
4 ayes and 1 no. Councilmember Cassidy.
Okay. Now we're going into closed session.
We have 4 items on closed session this evening. First one is conference with the real property negotiations. It's on our property of 206 East Whitley. Agency negotiator is the city manager. Negotiating party is George Paquette and Corey Waite of Community Builders LLC. And under negotiation is the price and terms of the payment. Second one is conference with the real property negotiators. It's the same property, 206 East Whitley. And the negotiating party is Catalina Entertainment Incorporated, and under negotiation is the price and terms of payment. Third item is public employee appointment. Title is the city clerk. And the fourth one is public employee appointment, and the title is the city manager.
I'm sorry, I noticed that's Matt. I'm sorry, that's Matt in the back, right? Yeah, my eyes are bad. I'm assuming you wanted to say something, and I'm sorry you just are getting here after the The item is been voted upon, but is it inappropriate for him
When I
to?
looked around, he was not in the
He
audience. so I
just
didn't
walked in.
know.
He just walked in the door after the vote. So I don't know. There's something you want to say. I think you could.
I didn't even hear the vote. I thought it was scheduled for later on tonight. I thought the meeting just started at 6 o'clock.
No, we've been starting at 5 for a couple of years now. So it was, I made the motion not to allow the operation on Metropole because of the safety issues that I have, and 4 votes agreed with me. Cindy was the other vote. So our thing is if I find a safer location.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to say something on it if possible.
Sure, go ahead. And then we'll go into closed session.
Hey there, members of the council, I first off want to apologize. I swear I wrote 6 and I probably should have put 5. So I really apologize for not being here during the vote so I could address any of those concerns. My simple thing is space is such a commodity in Avalon. Housing, commercial. This is the 4th location that we've looked at overall. And I don't know what else we can do to provide a better location. Every location we've looked at has been turned down for safety issues, and I so agree that safety is an issue, but this one had kind of seemed perfect. And I think that we could mitigate those concerns. I'll review what those concerns were, or maybe I can reach out to the council members, see what those concerns are, and maybe we could revisit this in the future. But if we're waiting for the perfect location, let me just be frank, it'll never come.
Right.
It's a nigh impossibility. And so we just, we want to provide good activities for the people here. There's a lot of people here. There's not a ton of things to do, and we would like to try to do it this summer. With this decision, I think that it kind of makes it a bridge too far to complete this operation this summer. So I just want the council to understand that we still want to work with you guys. We're excited. We want to bring this on board, but we just don't know how many more locations we can bring that even come available. And
Have you been in touch with the Island Company to see if they had anything they were willing to work on?
They have told me no.
They told you no?
In no uncertain circumstances through email and written communication. That they just don't want to assume the liability, and I can understand why. Yeah, so again, I apologize that I wasn't here. I think there was a miscommunication, and if any of the council members have any questions for me, comments or concerns, I'd love to address it.
I don't right now, and I guess it's not to say that it couldn't be reevaluated at some other time, but I just know we are so busy. This town is so busy right now. And from a safety standpoint, I wish you just had somewhere else to stage it that was a little flatter, and it would make me happy, and not on one of the busiest streets in Avalon, sadly.
Believe me, if I had these locations available, I would have brought it up the first time. But again, Avalon, as we all know, space is such a commodity. It's so hard to find even a place to live, let alone a place to do business, let alone with all of these regulations that can be introduced, it can make it even more difficult. But I really do appreciate the council's decision, and again, I apologize I wasn't.
And thank you, Matt. You're probably one of the most understanding no I've ever heard.
Well, thank you. Maybe we can revisit it in the future.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Okay. We are now going to vote this. What did you just say? Oh, okay. And we're back from closed session.
On items 1 and 2 of closed session, real property negotiations for the 206 East Whitley property, City Council directed to reject both offers. And no reportable action on items 3 and 4.
And I would also like to make one more comment before we adjourn, that some of you might not have tuned in at 5 o'clock. Council meeting, and if you haven't, please watch it on our city website or also on Facebook, I believe. There was a full explanation of what happened over the 4th of July and the cancellation of the fireworks. We appreciate your cooperation, and this meeting is adjourned. Good night, Tony.